So first and foremost, we're jumping in and we're going to do a live walkthrough and show you how you can address those different items within RightCapital. So this is our financial planning solution. We're in Josh and Ann's plan here today. I'm going to go through some key items focused around those 5 questions, and I'll touch upon this towards the end, but we have many other capabilities that go beyond just what we're highlighting here today. So if we think about it, we put in Josh and Ann's information, all their standard details, and right now, based on their goals and desires, they're at a 64% probability of success. Not great, right? Obviously, you'd like to be in the mid 80s or higher, generally speaking. So this is where we can come in and show, well, how can we help address that? What's nice about RightCapital is you do that right here. You don't have to go to a different section, make changes, come back and see what happened. Right in our action items, you can change just about anything for that plan. So 1, you can build it with them on the fly. 2, you can address the inevitable what if questions that come up. So for today's discussion, right, we can see, as we mentioned, they're spending about $8,000. They're not saving a ton. You know, they still have some working years left. So what are the standard things we might talk about with them? Well, 1, we've looked at their budget, and as many folks that probably spend more than they need to. I know myself, I probably have more streaming profiles than I need in subscriptions. So we can look to reduce some of those expenses now and into the future, and hopefully help adjust that in the plan. Another key item is we can look at, well, 3% isn't a whole lot of savings, and they do have a while left, right? They're 55 and 53. What if we bump that up to 10% after reviewing it with them to see what that might do? Another area that is always key to look at when talking with pre-retirees and retirees is Social Security. We have capabilities that allow you to go through and put in standard default options, customize an approach, but we even have an optimizer that will look at hundreds of different approaches and what's going to generate the most income for them over their lifespan. And then one final thing to mention in this initial look is what we call our retirement spending strategies. So in here now is just a standard inflation adjusted approach where I get that $8,000 expense and just adjusting as time goes on. Well, we all know that's not exactly how retirement goes. As was mentioned before, right? They're going to want to travel more in those front years. So we can do some of that and look at different strategies. The one we're going to use today is what we call the retirement spending smile, where it bumps their expenses on the front end, those middle years brings it down, and then on the tail end, it sees it go back up, typically mostly due to healthcare costs. But we have other strategies you can use around custom retirement spending strategies, guardrails, which puts buffers on losses and gains within their accounts, and even floors and ceilings. But as I said, we'll use the smile approach for today. So we see we made a few changes there. We just simply click refresh, and it'll update the plan and adjust it right on the spot. So in this example, right, having current plan was at 64, now they're up to 91%, right? And that's fantastic by making those few adjustments there. So they're really now in an ideal range. Well, one of the next items that we talked about is, where they want to look at traveling more. So as I mentioned, this is just using some of the key things. Well, within here, we can simply come right in and add in those goals or even customize and create an additional plan. So in this case, we're just going to simply go in and add a new goal. You'll see how quick and easy this is. We want to add a quick vacation goal here. We'll put it in at $8,000. We're going to do it jointly. The goal is going to start at retirement, and we're going to have frequency every year and just do it for 10 years, right? We're looking at that front end. So we can see a few basic items, put that right in. We can layer that goal in, add it to the plan, and see, okay, well, what impact would that have? Well, in this case, right, a little bit of an impact, not terrible. So they're traveling more. They're looking at that $8,000 a month for those 10 years, and they're still in a pretty good place, right? They're 89%. It took it down a little because they're spending more money, as you would expect, but still in a safe zone, as many folks like to look at. So again, addressing some of those key questions that they wanted to do, we did that in a couple seconds. So again, highlighting some of that flexibility. Well, what was the next question, right? Can they retire? What's the best time to retire? Well, we have it at 65. Well, we know that there's a couple-year age difference between the two of them, and they'd like to maybe retire at the same time. So if we did that, maybe want to look at, can Ann retire a few years earlier so that they're retiring at the same age? So if we drop her down to age 63, right, that gives them both the ability to retire at the same time. We can jump right in, apply that, and see the impact. Again, took it down a little bit because she's, dropping a few years off of income and savings happening, but still in a pretty good place, right in the mid 80s. So if you look at that opportunity, we quickly address some of those first initial questions of what's a good time to retire? Can they retire when they want? Can they travel in those earlier years? And can they retire at the same time as one another with a few simple adjustments to their plan? So I hope you can see the power of that, how we quickly and easily addressed it. Now let's get to the other questions around how do you want to fund, or what's the best way to fund retirement? Well, that's where we come into our tax module. It has a powerful platform that allows you to look at the timing of their taxable income and what brackets that puts them into. And as mentioned, some of the potential big impacts of RMDs in those future years. Well, within here, we give you the ability to look at different approaches. In this case, we're going to compare standard sequential, right? Taxable, then tax deferred, then tax free versus a pro rata approach, right? Just drawing it down proportionally, which is what most clients probably would do without advice from great advisors like yourselves. Just note the standard sequential is a default setting already in RightCapital, but we allow you to compare it to or select other options, different sequences, different orders to find what might work best for them. So if we look at it here, standard sequential versus pro rata has quite an impact, right? Just doing that distribution timing could save them quite a bit of money versus what they might do on their own. The next item we can look at is, while they're applying that, they might have some pretty low taxable years in their early stages of retirement and just before retirement. Well, that might be a great time to take advantage and look at the potential value of Roth conversions, right? Helping offset some of that future tax liability by taking on some of that tax impact on the front end. We do it in a very simple way where you can come down to selection 2 here, and you literally just set the bracket. In this case, I'm just going to push it up to 10%, and we'll fill in without exceeding that with Roth conversions any years prior to that. So we can see in this case, that was a nice jump. It took them up $122,000 gain by applying just to the 10% bracket in that scenario. We say, well, if we did that at 10, maybe 15 would be better, right? Every client scenario is somewhat specific, and it may or may not be, and that's what's great about having a tool like ours. It's not biased. We can see in this case, still a positive gain, but not as good, right? So the 15% bracket actually pushes them down to less of a value at the end of the plan. So 10% in this case is ideal. So we can see that gives them great value, shows them the impact that can have, and we even give you further details when we highlight the conversion amounts and how much and when it's drawn down from those different tax buckets. So a fantastic, powerful tool that without something like this could take quite a bit of time to figure out those numbers and determine what the potential opportunity is. So then if we look at that helps them again with how and when to fund that retirement income with some of those distribution strategies and how to do it in a more efficient, flexible manner. So let's jump back, and one of the last questions they had in there was around how do you plan for the inevitable, right? Or the unexpected, right? We all know taxes are going to go up at some point. Social Security, depending on where you are, who knows exactly what's going to be there at the end. With inflation now, it's coming down, but it's still high. What if it goes up? What if we live too long? These are the common stressors and common what if questions that many and most all clients have. And that's where a tool like our stress test really helps you show them that we've planned for this and we've baked it into the plan. And if it becomes a bigger concern as you're doing your reviews, we can adjust and adapt. So in here, again, down the action items, you can make some pretty big changes to show the potential impact. So in this case, obviously there's a lot of talk about, market declines, recessions, etc. We can simulate, well, what would happen, if there was a 20% drop in the equity markets now? Well, we can see it's going to have an impact on the plan, but it's not going to blow it up completely, right? We can even look at it later, right? What if we had a 20% decline at retirement, right? In many cases, that could be quite an impact. Well, again, because of some of the things we've baked in, similar impact. It's going to bring it down a bit, but not blow it up completely. You can see you could adjust any of these sliders. I have them set at some of our defaults. What if I live 5 years longer? What if healthcare costs go up by 20%, and so on? And you can see the overall impact of those. So if they lived an extra 5 years, again, it's going to bring it down a little, but they're just about the 80% mark. So still in pretty good shape, all things considered. And this is on that overall plan that we just adjusted. So makes it really easy to go in and address it and comment around some of those kind of standard concerns that folks might have. So that hopefully shows you some of the ease, some of the power of our capabilities to address some of those common 5 questions that I'm sure you get with clients on a regular basis. What I take a couple minutes now and talk about is what we refer to as data visualization. Obviously, there's a lot of information in a detailed financial plan. Our platform does both cash flow and goals-based solutions. We're using a cash flow based version for today, but looking at detailed cash flow reports can be a bit monotonous, right? How many clients want to look through countless rows of data? Well, we've taken some unique approaches to make it more visually appealing and more digestible for the clients. So one of the things that we have is you have all the details and data there if you want. You can drill into all the numbers in there, but we've just recently launched what we call our waterfall cash flow visuals that looks at any year and highlights how the money's flowing, where it's coming from, the total inflows, outflows, and some of the net impacts. And you can look at every year throughout the plan just simply by sliding across. So if we go out there, then we look at, let's say, retirement years, right? Now that we've adjusted it, right, there's no more inflows, there's their expenses, healthcare costs, their goal costs, and taxes, then the total impact on it. So that makes it very easy to go in and visualize that throughout any year, any stage of the plan for either current or proposed plan, so you can flip back and forth and simply highlight that. We also give you a nice little breakdown view. So if you want to see, where are those outflows, what are the total expenses, goals, etc., how is that being funded, where is it coming from, you can see all those underlying details, again, in a nice, simple visual throughout the platform. Another area we did that is what we call our blueprint. And this gives a nice visual over their net worth, their goals, their income, and expenses. So you get a nice, clean layout looking at their current cumulative net worth and how that's broken down, right? This may highlight things like maybe it's a little bit lopsided. Maybe they'll look at, opportunities for insurance or joint accounts or whatever it might be. It makes it quick and easy. And if you need to update something, you don't have to go to another section to adjust it. You just simply click on it, let you jump in, modify whatever items you need to, so you can update it on the spot right there with the client, and give them this nice, warm visual view. Like I said, it does it for multiple areas. The goals is nice because it just lays out the timeline and how and when those items kick in and what they are. Again, if you wanted to adjust those, let's say healthcare costs, we're using some standard numbers here. You could come in and adjust them as you see fit. And then finally, the current income, savings, and expenses, once again, shows you where it sits, whether it's on one side versus the other or joint. If you needed to update something, it's very simple to jump in, click those, and adjust as needed. And all of that can be done in collection with what we also call our snapshot. And this was something we launched last year that lets you summarize all the key items. You can pick and choose different widgets from within the overall planning solution, create a custom 1 to 2 page output that highlights what matters most and give them a nice dashboard view. In this case, right, we can see their probability of success based on that overall plan, highlight some of the key goals that they want to achieve, current net worth, taxable rates, simulations of the Monte Carlo, their balance sheet, their allocations, and so on. So you have a nice way to create a custom, clean summary view that, again, focuses on what matters most. And more importantly, you can give clients access to this online through the client portal, as well as obviously all the items I've shown you here today can be included in a report and generate a simple output for that. So this is something that people really love. We see many cases in a lot of instances with those clients. The snapshot and then the blueprint that I just highlighted a moment ago are 2 items that really cover most of the things clients need and want to see. And again, you can deliver that in a multitude of ways, whether it's in hard copy with PDFs or give them online access so they can review and see all of those items in there. So It's very simple to adjust. Just to show you, if I wanted to reorganize, you just simply drag and drop. So again, very flexible, very interactive, makes it clean and easy to populate it throughout. So with that, hopefully you get a good sense of our broad capabilities, right? Addressing some of those common questions, quick, easy. It allows you to give a very powerful and impactful approach, and then some of the ability to visualize the data of a plan, right? The days of 70-page plans are really out the window. Now you can do it in a nice, clean format. You have all the data, you have all the details if they need it, but you can summarize it in a very effective and functional way for those clients. So with that being said, let me jump back to a few comments in the slides, and then we'll, like I said, give plenty of time for questions in just a moment. So with that, obviously, hopefully you got a good view of our flexibility. That's one of our key value propositions, is we enable you to create a custom flexible plan that you can iterate and evolve with your clients in any way that makes the most sense for you and for them. We also allow you to collaborate. One of the things I didn't mention, but you have the ability to give clients access to the client portal, not just to view their plan, but they can also be a part of the onboarding process, allowing them to input information. You can allow them to link up those outside accounts, which is key, right? So you get updated values on those 401ks, on those outside holdings, and even some of their expenses through credit cards and checking accounts and some of the budgeting tools. So to allow them to see that in more real time. And as I highlighted a little bit, if we have a lot of tax capabilities, I just focus on some, but making it easy to emphasize a very powerful tax strategy with a few clicks versus, sitting there with a calculator and a legal pad trying to figure out how much can they convert without exceeding a particular bracket, and then to try and determine, well, what impact would that have? Once you got the information there, you could just slide the bar over, adjust the numbers, and as you saw, show them the value that that could bring. And then lastly, as I mentioned there, having beautiful visuals to engage your clients, right? Not showing them spreadsheets so much anymore like most cash flow charts are. Nice soft visuals that show the flows, let them look at any time, give them a hard copy or give them online access, and then the nice blueprint timelines that make it very easy to see when and how much some of those goals are and how they're impacting their plan overall.